Hi, and welcome to a quick overview of the bass clef. Bass clef we got right here. Let's zoom in on it, get right to it. Okay, so here we see an example one right here. That is what the bass clef looks like. It looks like a swoosh and it has two dots. Um, you probably know the treble clef or the G clef. It tells you where G is on the staff. That's how all clef signs work. They tell you where the musical alphabet goes on the sign. The bass clef is an F clef, and it shows you where F is. F is right between those two dots. Those two dots bracket the fourth line up there, so the fourth line up is the note F. So, in example 2, what we have is going up from that identified F, just from a line to a space to a line, that stepwise motion. We see it's alphabetical order. It's a little weird because it doesn't start with A, but F to G is alphabetical, and then in music, we start again with A again. So that's musically alphabetical order as we go up the lines and spaces of this, the bass clef, but really any clef. Okay, example number 3. Here we go to that fourth line up. F is pointed out by that F bass clef, and it shows you going down the lines and spaces stepwise of the staff, just like any staff. It's going to be alphabetical order. Here, this line starts in F, backwards to E, to D, to C, to B, to A, back to G. Line 4, this is just all the lines and spaces of the bass clef staff from the bottom to the top. Line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. And we see it's just the musical alphabet. It's weird because it starts with G, the last letter of the alphabet, but then it goes to the first A, and then just alphabetical order as we go up. You can see alphabetical. Hit G, go back again to A. Example 5 just shows as we go backwards, stepwise down the musical staff. The alphabet goes backwards from line to space to line to space, etc., 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 etc. It's just backwards down the musical alphabet. A, back to G, back to F, to D, to C, to B, to A, to G. Looking at example 6. This is the trick where most music teachers start. They start with how to name the lines and spaces of each staff. I don't know why. They should show alphabetical order. Just alphabetical order makes so much sense. Then you get to this, a quick way to remember the lines. Here's we've isolated the lines from bottom to top. And just like with the treble clef where we had that goofy saying, except here, notice because the notes are on the different lines and spaces from the treble clef, the saying's different. This is good boys do fine always. Where once again, the first letter of each word stands for the letter of that particular line. Over here, example 7, we have another little silly sentence. This is probably the least silly of any of the sentences to remember your staff lines and spaces. All cows eat grass. A, C, E, G for each corresponding space as we go up the staff. Okay, so example 8. Here's what happens when you go outside of the staff and you extend the range of the staff using these ledger lines. Ledger lines are these one-time lines for each note, so we can tell where we are above the staff. But here we are starting with that fourth line up, F. Good boys do fine, always. And we're moving. Line, space, line, etc., etc., etc. We're just going up the alphabet. F to G, back to A, B. That first ledger line up is C. Above that is D. 2 ledger lines up is E, etc., etc., etc. It's just up the alphabet. So, example 9 shows us an example of that. That's way up there. Wow, 4 ledger lines, that's pretty high. What do? Well, you start someplace you know. Let's start on this top line of the bass clef staff. Lines of the bass clef staff. Good boys do fine always. That's A. We're going to go up alphabetical from A. Top line is A. Space above that is B. First ledger line is C. Space above that is D. Second ledger line is E. Space above that is F. Third ledger line is G. Space above that we go back to A. Fourth ledger line up is a B. And the space above that is a very high C in the bass clef. Okay, example 10. Going backwards down the staff once again, extending our range by those things called ledger lines again. We starting on a line here. Second line up, good boys, do fine always. The note B, backwards in the alphabet to A, to G. Right below the bass clef staff is F. First ledger line below is E. Below that is D. Two ledger lines below the bass clef staff is C, etc., 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 counting down the alphabet. So, example 11 gives us one of those examples where we have four ledger lines below the bass clef staff. What do you do with any clef going down? You go to where you know, and you're going to go backwards in the alphabet. So here's that lowest line of the bass clef. Good, boys do fine always. G. Backwards to the space F. First ledger line down is E. Below that is D. Second ledger line down is C. Below that is B. Third ledger line down is A. Below that is G. Fourth ledger line down is F. Below that is low E. That's a very low note there. That's the lowest note in the band. We're on this lowest note on a tuba. That's low. All right, so moving on. And in conclusion and review, example 12 shows us the bass clef is an F clef, swoosh with two dots. The dots show us where F is. In this case, it's on the fourth line because that's where the dots are. Quick way to remember the lines. Good boys do fine always. G, B, D, F, A. To remember the spaces. All cows eat grass. A, C, E, G, counting from the bottom up in both cases. Example 15 just shows you as you ascend the staff in a stepwise order from line to space to line to space to line to space, etc., 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 you simply go up the alphabet, and that applies whether you're below, above, or in between the staff, within the staff. And example 16, example last, shows you as you go down the staff stepwise motion from a line to a space to a line to a space, etc., 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 etc. Whether you're below, within, or above the staff, you simply count backwards down the musical alphabet. So with a little bit of practice, you get good at that. All right, let's take a quick look at some practice. We're going to go to, there we go, musictheory.net. Yay, ta-da! Musictheory.net. Go there. Go there often. Look at these lessons. They're good lessons. Learn a lot about music. But today we're going to go to exercises. Note identification. We're going to practice naming the bass clef notes. So let's go over here to the little gear wheel, customize our musictheory.net experience. We're going to select the bass clef. We'll talk about the grand staff next. There's a treble clef. Got some other clefs maybe we'll talk about. Okay, we can set the range. We can make that range go very narrow. Make that range go very large. We can customize it to meet our needs. So maybe I'm a tuba player. I want to practice naming those low notes way down there below the bass clef. But for our purposes, we're just going to stay within the lines and spaces of the staff to start. Do we want to practice lines and spaces together? Only lines, only spaces? Hey, what the heck? Let's do some just lines right now. Key signatures, do you want to put in no sharps or flats? 1 through 7 flats, 1 through 7 sharps, one for each letter of the musical alphabet. We're going to say no for right now to get started. Do we want to do note names? Well, yeah, we got all these solfege things. We're just going to go with letters. That's the most basic one to do. Helpers if you need them, sure. Accidentals, sharps and flats, let's go no right now. What filter, what notes do we want to do? Well, we could check and see. They're all selected, let's do them all. We're not going to be using sharps and flats, so our answers are just going to be the musical alphabet right there. Okay, we are ready to play. Oh, it's on a line, of course, because we're doing the lines. Good boys do fine always. That's the note F. Fifth line, good boys do fine always. That's the note A. First line, good boys do fine always. That's G. Fourth line. Good boys do fine always. That's F again. Good boys do fine always. Good boys do fine always. A. Good boys do fine. F. Good boys do. D. So that's how you do it. Then you go over to the settings and you try just some spaces. Spaces only. All cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. G. All cows C. All cows eat A. So that's how you do it. And then the next step, of course, would be do lines and spaces together. No worries. Good boys do. D. Good boys do fine. F. Good boys. B. Good boys do fine always. A. All cows eat. E. And there you go. And that's how you learn the bass clef. And then as you get more competent at it, you can practice extending the range and doing accidentals and doing key signatures. Okay, hope this helps with your understanding of the bass clef.